Good morning, it's your vote counts. I'm Scott Mitchell with my friends here who've been watching and working really hard out at the state legislature this week. First of all, here's what I learned this week. Our Secretary of Commerce is a really effective man, Scott Muller. He landed a big deal this week up in the Pryor area. It is such a big deal. Tell us what it means.
Yeah, it was a big deal. There's a German company, Northern Data, that made a deal with GRDA out of Northeast Oklahoma, and the Commerce Department was a big part of it. And the deal is to bring Northern Data's headquarters to Pryor, Oklahoma. Again, it's a German company that's come here. It's a technology company. A lot of new technology jobs here in the state of Oklahoma. Their aim is to spend millions of dollars in the Pryor area to build what's going to be about a 100-acre campus for Northern Data. This is a huge deal for the state of Oklahoma. It just shows that we continue to be a place where big companies want to be. We need to keep that momentum by doing the necessary things to create the education for folks that are going to need to take these jobs.
Renewable's a big reason for this as well, but you're seeing what's happening with the administration. They're landing some big fish.
Yeah, this is a great job by the executive branch. Northern Data is going to bring over 300 high-paying technology jobs, and we've all been reading. We call it Project Ocean in the legislature. I actually don't know who it is because it's over an NDA, but Tulsa World is reporting that it's Panasonic, that maybe another 8,000 jobs may be coming to that area. We're really investing heavily in the EV industry and the technology industry in the Pryor area. It's interesting because we're actually getting some pushback from the legislator from Pryor trying to add all these jobs to his area, but I think we're going to continue to move forward as a state, create the workforce that we need, and the growth has been phenomenal so far.
Electric vehicles, it's part of the future, no matter what anybody thinks, it's coming. All right, one of the questions that the governor was asked the other day was, do we have the people to fill these jobs? You've been working hard on this. We saw what happened with OU this week and the nurses, announcement about the nursing school down there. Workforce, a big deal.
Yeah, so if you've watched this show, you know I talk about workforce almost every week. It is what my biggest issue to change the direction of the state of Oklahoma. Man, I got to thank the University of Oklahoma School of Nursing. They announced that they accepted every qualified nursing applicant. This close to doubled their RN program. If you've been having a hard time getting into hospitals for preventable diseases because we don't have enough nurses, this is a huge deal. This is what we need more of. And I would like to think this show had an awful lot to do with it, and you, the citizens, had an awful lot to do with it, because you keep talking about how we need the workforce for the future. I love attracting all these new companies, but we've got to graduate the workforce to continue to grow our economy.
Shout out to my favorite Canadian, the Provost Gary Raskub. You betcha there. Okay, your thoughts about this workforce development?
Oh yeah, workforce development is huge, and so is collaboration. This is a perfect example of the legislature and executive branch talking about the need for more workforce, working with state chamber here in the state of Oklahoma, and then collaborating with the University of Oklahoma in order to, as my colleague said, double the size of their nursing program. One of the big problems that folks have had is that those seats fill so fast, and by doubling the program this year and having over 500 new nursing students, this is going to be huge, especially in 2 years when those graduates graduate and get into our workforce. It's going to be great for the state of Oklahoma.
History made this week. Speaker Charles McCall elected to do, I guess nominated to do a fourth term. I think that's history. But, you know, he's a throwback to a quieter, more genteel time. But tell us what having a fourth term of Charles McCall means.
Well, we had a big news coming out of the Oklahoma House Republican caucus. We renominated Speaker Charles McCall to be our speaker designate. He'll term out after this next term, but that will make him the first 8-year speaker in the history of the state of Oklahoma. And I think what you're seeing is a more quieter, a steady hand at the wheel. We've had an incredible amount of success out of the Republican caucus under Speaker McCall, and that steady, consistent hand is something the state of Oklahoma needs right now. I also want to point out Pro Tem-elect Greg Treat, the current Pro Tem, is going to have another 2 years. That's good for the state of Oklahoma. Consistent leadership, stable leadership with a proven track record of success. Congratulations to Speaker McCall.
Is whenever he, the pro tem, and the governor meet, the governor is always the junior member. It's just, that's how long they've been there, and the steady hand. You know, Speaker McCall, he's quiet but steady force. Your thoughts about his nominated for a fourth term?
Yeah, so it's important that we talk about how term limits affect these things. So while you may be thinking 8 years doesn't seem like that long of a deal, it's the longest in state history that we will have had a speaker in this role. And term limits now are playing a big part of that because you only have 12 years to go. As my colleague said, consistency is very important. Having leaders at the top that are consistent in the way that they're going about the business of the state of Oklahoma is important. I will add that next year we will also have a new minority leader. Minority Leader-elect Cindy Munson will become the new minority leader and will join that group as they continue to do the work of the state.
All right, one of the things that's happened during the term of Speaker Charles McCall is criminal justice reform. Lots of news about other things, but it's still happening out there, isn't it?
Absolutely, and those of you watching this may have seen some ads on your TV here in the state of Oklahoma that have been negative ads towards our governor about being soft on crime. And I want to tell you this morning, there's nothing that we can do that would be more important than to continue the work of criminal justice reform. I'm glad that the governor has taken that up. I think it's important for the state. You wouldn't usually hear a Democrat say this on a Sunday morning, but we had the second in command of CPAC here this week talking about the importance of criminal justice reform. This is absolutely an area where Republicans and Democrats can work together. It's important for the state of Oklahoma. It saves us money, and it gives people a second chance.
That's interesting what you just said, kind of like, whoa, okay. So there's still a lot of CJR action happening. Your thoughts?
Well, I want to talk about CJR, but I want to do something most politicians won't do, which is take a shot at dark money. And they don't do it because they're afraid to do it. When you have dark money ads, those are ads that people won't say who's behind them. They hide behind fake names, so they won't show who's really doing it. Just take those ads with a grain of salt and understand if they had the courage to put their, if they believed in what they said, they'd have the courage to put their name behind it. With that being said, we're doing some great stuff with criminal justice reform here. We're striking that balance in the state of Oklahoma between being smart on crime and too tough on crime, and we are lowering the incarceration rate while at the same time lowering our criminal rate. We're really striking that balance, and the governor's done a good job there.
Jon Echols calling out the dark money with your coffee this morning. Hey, thanks for watching Your Vote Counts. See this again at news9.com/yourvotecounts, and follow me on Twitter @MitchellTalks.